The nights grew longer after Michael's unsettling transformation. Each evening, a heavy silence settled over our home, broken only by the distant sounds of the city below. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Michael's behavior became increasingly erratic. He would spend hours staring blankly at the vase, muttering incomprehensible words under his breath. Sometimes, he'd wake me in the middle of the night, eyes wide with fear, insisting that the water was calling him back. Determined to find a solution, I reached out to Mrs. Johnson again. She listened intently, her eyes clouded with worry. "There are ancient rituals that might help," she whispered, "but they require utmost caution. The spirits are restless, and meddling too much can have dire consequences." With little choice, I agreed to proceed. Mrs. Johnson introduced us to Tomas, a seasoned albulario known for his expertise in dealing with malevolent spirits. He arrived one rainy afternoon, his presence commanding yet soothing. Tomas examined the vase meticulously, his fingers tracing the intricate patterns. "This vase is a vessel for trapped souls," he explained. "It's been used to contain their anguish, but something has gone wrong. The recent disturbance has awakened a hunger within it, feeding off the sorrow and loneliness of those around it." Tomas prepared a protective circle around the vase, chanting ancient prayers. "We must balance the energies," he instructed. "Provide offerings that can soothe the spirits and seek their forgiveness for disturbing their rest." We followed his guidance meticulously, laying out candles, incense, and personal items that held sentimental value. As night fell, the atmosphere thickened with tension. The temperature dropped, and the air felt charged with unseen energy. I could hear faint whispers echoing through the halls, growing louder as the night progressed. Suddenly, the vase began to shimmer, the water inside swirling violently. A cold wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles. In the darkness, shadows danced on the walls, and the whispers turned into anguished cries. Tomas remained steadfast, continuing his chants with unwavering focus. Just as the situation seemed unbearable, a calm descended. The vase steadied, the water becoming clear once more. Tomas looked up, exhaustion etched on his face. "The spirits are appeased for now, but the balance is delicate. You must remain vigilant." As he left, I felt a brief sense of relief, but deep down, I knew our ordeal was far from over. Days turned into weeks, and the eerie calm was deceptive. While the immediate disturbances subsided, an underlying tension persisted. Michael's condition showed no signs of improvement. He remained distant, his interactions minimal and mechanical. I delved deeper into the history of the vase, hoping to uncover clues that could help us break the curse. Late one night, I stumbled upon an old journal in the local library archives. The entries were written by a Clara Thompson, the very woman whose spirit had been trapped within the vase. Her words painted a harrowing picture of life during the Japanese occupation. Clara was a dedicated teacher who had secretly organized resistance efforts, using her position to protect and inspire her students. One entry stood out. "They took me from the classroom today. I refused to be silenced, even as they forced me into this vessel. If anyone finds this, know that my spirit longs for freedom. Remember us." Realizing the depth of Clara's suffering, I felt a surge of empathy and determination. Perhaps understanding her plight was the key to truly setting her free. I shared my findings with Tomas, who nodded thoughtfully. "We need to honor her memory properly," he advised. "Organize a memorial service, invite the descendants of those affected, and offer genuine apologies for the past atrocities. Only then can the spirits find peace." Emboldened by this plan, I reached out to the community. Organizing the event was challenging, but the response was heartwarming. Families shared stories of their ancestors' bravery and loss, rekindling a collective memory that had long been suppressed. On the day of the memorial, the neighborhood gathered in our home's entryway, now transformed with banners, flowers, and photographs of Clara and others like her. Tomas led the prayers, invoking blessings and forgiveness. As the ceremony progressed, I felt a profound connection to those who had suffered, their presence almost tangible in the air. As the final prayers were spoken, the vase began to glow softly. The water shimmered with a radiant light, and for a moment, I saw Clara's face reflected within it, peaceful and serene. A gentle breeze swept through the room, carrying away the lingering sorrow. It felt as though a weight had been lifted, but the tranquility was short-lived. That evening, as Michael and I sat together, he looked at me with hollow eyes. "She's still here," he whispered. "Clara says thank you, but the vase isn't empty yet." Fear gripped me. Had our efforts been in vain? Or was there still something more that needed to be done? The uneasy peace was shattered one stormy night. Thunder roared outside, and lightning illuminated our home in stark flashes. Michael's behavior had deteriorated further. He became agitated, pacing the entryway and muttering to himself. I knew that whatever we thought we had resolved was only the beginning of a deeper conflict. Desperate for answers, I consulted Tomas once more. He revealed an ancient legend about vessels like our vase, designed to contain not just individual spirits, but entire legions of tormented souls. These vessels could become conduits for malevolent forces if not properly guarded. It seemed our vase had become a beacon, attracting restless spirits seeking refuge. "We need to perform a cleansing ritual at the source," Tomas explained. "Find where the vase originated, and there we can sever its connection to the spirit world." The next morning, armed with historical records and guided by Tomas, we traced the vase back to an old estate in Intramuros, Manila. The journey was arduous, but determination fueled our steps. Upon arriving, the estate stood abandoned, its grandeur marred by time and neglect. The air was thick with an oppressive energy, and shadows seemed to move with a life of their own. Inside, the mansion was a labyrinth of decaying rooms and forgotten memories. We finally located the study where the vase had been originally kept. Dust-covered tomes and faded photographs adorned the shelves, whispering stories of a bygone era. In the center stood a pedestal, identical to the one in our home, awaiting the vase. Tomas began the ritual, his voice steady as he chanted incantations to cleanse the space. I held Michael's hand, feeling the weight of his possession pressing down on me. As we placed the vase on the pedestal, the air grew colder, and the spirits seemed to converge, their presence overwhelming. A vortex of darkness erupted from the vase, pulling us into a swirling abyss. We found ourselves standing in a vast, ethereal plain, surrounded by countless souls trapped within glassy confines. Clara stood before us, her expression one of sorrow and hope. "Thank you for seeking the truth," she spoke, her voice echoing through the void. "But the vessel holds more than just us. It binds our stories together. To free us all, you must let go of your fears and embrace our memories." Understanding dawned upon me. It wasn't just about releasing the spirits, it was about honoring their lives and ensuring their stories were remembered. I turned to Michael, who now stood beside me, his eyes clear but filled with the collective pain of the trapped souls. Together, we recited the final prayers, focusing on remembrance and forgiveness. The spirits began to glow, their forms becoming more defined and radiant. Clara reached out, her hand touching mine. "Your compassion sets us free. Carry our stories forward, so we may find peace." A brilliant light enveloped us, and the oppressive darkness lifted. We found ourselves back in the study, the vase now empty and glowing with a serene light. The storm outside had ceased, replaced by a tranquil calm. Exhausted but relieved, Michael and I embraced, feeling the lingering presence of the freed spirits gently fade away. The vase, once a vessel of torment, now stood as a testament to resilience and the power of remembrance. As we left the estate, the first rays of dawn broke through the horizon, symbolizing a new beginning. Our home in Quezon City felt lighter, the entryway no longer dominated by the ominous vase. Instead, it became a space of cherished memories and the enduring legacy of those who had finally found peace. Months had passed since the vase was cleansed and the spirits were set free. Life in our Quezon City home had settled into a semblance of normalcy. Michael and I resumed our daily routines, the memory of the supernatural ordeal fading into the background. However, subtle signs hinted that our peace was merely superficial. One evening, as I was tidying up the entryway, I noticed faint footprints leading from the vase to the hallway. They vanished as mysteriously as they had appeared. I called out to Michael, but he was engrossed in reading in the living room. Assuming it was my imagination, I shrugged it off. Yet, the occurrences became more frequent. Whispers in the dead of night, objects slightly moved, and shadows flitting across the corners of my vision. Determined to uncover the truth, I revisited the albulario Tomas. His eyes held a deep concern as I recounted the latest disturbances.
Sometimes, freeing one spirit can inadvertently awaken others,
he explained.
The balance was disrupted, and residual energies remain unsettled. Tomas suggested a second ritual, one that would not only honor Clara, but also cleanse the home of any lingering malevolent forces. Reluctantly, I agreed, fearing what might happen if we did nothing. On the night of the new moon, Tomas arrived with an assortment of herbs, candles, and sacred symbols. He instructed us to clear the entryway, creating an open space for the energies to flow freely. As he began chanting, the atmosphere grew heavy with anticipation. The temperature plummeted, and a dense fog seemed to envelop the room. Suddenly, the vase emitted a low hum, and the air shimmered with an ethereal light. Shadows coalesced into vague forms, whispering unintelligibly before dissipating into nothingness. Tomas continued his incantations, his voice unwavering despite the mounting tension. As the ritual reached its climax, a brilliant light burst forth from the vase, engulfing the room. When the light subsided, the entryway felt lighter, the oppressive energy lifted. Tomas nodded in approval.
The spirits are at peace now. Your home is free from their lingering presence.
Exhausted but hopeful, Michael and I felt a renewed sense of tranquility. Yet, a lingering unease remained, a subtle reminder that some mysteries never fully unravel. The days that followed the second ritual were calm, but the tranquility was short-lived. One afternoon, while sorting through old belongings in the attic, I stumbled upon a dusty, forgotten box. Inside, I found a collection of photographs, letters, and a faded map of Manila from the 1940s. Among the items was a letter addressed to
Clara.
Curiosity piqued, I began reading the letter. It was a heartfelt message from a young man named Javier, expressing his love and admiration for Clara. The letter detailed their shared dreams and the horrors they endured during the Japanese occupation. It ended abruptly, hinting at a tragedy that had torn them apart. As I delved deeper into the letters, I discovered that Clara had siblings who had also gone missing during the war. The map marked several locations around Manila, each corresponding to significant events in Clara and Javier's lives. It became evident that their story was intertwined with numerous unresolved disappearances, suggesting a larger, more sinister pattern. Determined to piece together the fragmented history, I enlisted Tomas's help once more. He confirmed that our findings pointed to a series of ritualistic sacrifices carried out by occupying forces, aiming to harness spiritual energies for dark purposes. The vase, it seemed, was one of many artifacts used to imprison restless souls. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Tomas advised that we investigate further to prevent similar tragedies from recurring. He believed that uncovering and honoring each spirit's story would be crucial in breaking the cycle of suffering. Armed with newfound purpose, Michael and I began visiting historical sites, speaking with descendants of those affected, and collecting stories of loss and resilience. Each narrative added depth to our understanding, painting a broader picture of the atrocities endured and the spirits left behind. One night, as we reviewed our notes, Michael noticed a recurring symbol in the letters and on the map, a symbol resembling the one etched on the vase. "It's like a signature," he mused. "A mark of ownership or control." Tomas nodded solemnly. "This symbol represents binding and control over spirits. Whoever used it had mastery over dark forces. To dismantle their legacy, we must confront the source of their power." With this revelation, our mission became clear: to locate and neutralize the origin of these malevolent rituals, ensuring that no more souls would be unjustly trapped. Our quest led us to the heart of Intramuros, where the old estate we had previously visited held more secrets than we had uncovered. Guided by the faded map and the symbol that connected our discoveries, Tomas, Michael, and I ventured deeper into the estate's forgotten chambers. In the mansion's basement, hidden behind a decaying bookshelf, we found a concealed door. Pushing it open revealed a subterranean chamber adorned with arcane symbols and ancient artifacts. At the center stood an imposing altar, bearing the same symbol that had haunted our research. As we approached, the room seemed to pulse with dark energy. Shadows lengthened, and a chill permeated the air. On the altar lay a collection of porcelain vases, each identical to the one in our home, their surfaces etched with the binding symbols. Tomas began to chant, his voice resonating with authority. "We come to free the trapped souls and dismantle the source of your torment." The room responded violently. The vases shimmered, and ghostly apparitions materialized, their eyes hollow with despair. At the forefront stood a figure cloaked in darkness, the architect of these rituals, a sorcerer intent on harnessing spiritual energies for his nefarious purposes. "You cannot undo what has been done," the sorcerer intoned, his voice echoing through the chamber. "These vessels hold power beyond your comprehension." Undeterred, Tomas continued his incantations, invoking blessings and protection. Michael and I joined in, focusing our intentions on liberation and healing. The apparitions began to waver, their anguish palpable as they yearned for release. The sorcerer retaliated, summoning dark tendrils of energy that lashed out at us. We dodged and countered, the room becoming a battleground between light and darkness. The symbols on the altar glowed ominously, reacting to the conflict. In a moment of clarity, I remembered the letters and the personal stories we had gathered. Realizing that the sorcerer's power stemmed from the unresolved pain of the spirits, I spoke directly to the trapped souls. "We honor your stories and remember your sacrifices. Let us help you find peace." As if responding to my plea, a surge of positive energy filled the chamber. The spirits collective will strengthen our resolve, and Tomas's chants grew louder and more potent. The sorcerer's dark energy began to dissipate, unable to withstand the unified desire for liberation. With one final, powerful incantation, the altar shattered, and a blinding light enveloped the room. The vases cracked and broke, releasing streams of light that carried the spirits to their rightful resting places.
The sorcerer screamed as his hold over the spirits was broken, his form dissolving into shadows that faded into nothingness. Silence reclaimed the chamber. The oppressive energy lifted. Tomas, Michael, and I stood amidst the remnants of the altar, breathing heavily but victorious. The mission was complete. We had dismantled the source of the dark rituals and freed countless souls from their eternal imprisonment. As we exited the estate, the first light of dawn broke over Intramuros, symbolizing the end of a long night and the beginning of a new era of peace. Our home in Quezon City no longer bore the shadow of the haunted vase, replaced instead by a sense of accomplishment and hope. Walking hand in hand, Michael and I knew that while the past had left its scars, our actions had ensured that the stories of those lost would never be forgotten. The legacy of resilience and remembrance would guide us forward, forever honoring the spirits we had helped to free. After our triumphant confrontation with the sorcerer, life seemed to return to normal in our Quezon City home. The haunted vase was no longer a source of fear, and Michael and I felt a profound sense of accomplishment. However, an unsettling feeling lingered, as if the peace we had achieved was fragile and temporary. One evening, as I was organizing our living room, I noticed an old, tattered photograph peeking out from behind a bookshelf. It showed the grand Intramuros estate as it once was, bustling with life. In the center stood the same vase, surrounded by stern-looking individuals in traditional attire. One figure in particular caught my eye, a man with a commanding presence, his eyes seemingly following me from the photo. Curiosity gnawed at me. Who was this man, and what was his connection to the vase and the spirits we had freed? I shared my discovery with Michael, who agreed that there was more to uncover. Our research led us to old town records and newspaper archives, revealing that the sorcerer we had defeated was named Alejandro Reyes, a powerful occultist who had orchestrated the ritualistic sacrifices to harness spiritual energies for dark purposes. As we delved deeper, we found references to a hidden chamber within the Intramuros estate, rumored to hold the source of Reyes's power. Determined to ensure that no further evil could emerge from the estate, we decided to return and investigate. That night, under the cover of darkness, Michael and I made our way back to Intramuros. The estate loomed ominously, its silhouette against the night sky casting long, foreboding shadows. Armed with flashlights and accompanied by Tomas, we approached the mansion with caution. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of damp and decay. We navigated through the labyrinthine corridors, guided by the faded map and our determination to secure the estate once and for all. Reaching the basement once again, we searched for the concealed door, but it remained elusive. Frustrated, Tomas suggested using the same hidden mechanism we had discovered previously. After some effort, a section of the bookshelf swung open, revealing a narrow passageway leading to the chamber we had destroyed months earlier. To our horror, the altar had been rebuilt, now more intricate and sinister than before. Before we could react, a chilling voice echoed through the chamber. "You may have defeated me once, but the darkness within this vessel is eternal." The room darkened, and shadows began to swirl around us, forming into ghastly apparitions. Alejandro Reyes had somehow found a way to tether his essence to the estate, making his malevolent presence a permanent fixture. The vases we had shattered were reassembled by unseen forces, their surfaces reflecting the torment of countless souls. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Tomas began chanting ancient prayers, attempting to dispel Reyes's lingering influence. Michael and I joined in, our voices united in a desperate plea for liberation. The spirits of the freed souls from the vase lent their strength, their ethereal forms intertwining with ours to amplify the ritual. A fierce struggle ensued as Reyes's dark energy fought against our combined efforts. The chamber trembled with the intensity of the battle between good and evil. Just when it seemed that the darkness would overwhelm us, a brilliant light emanated from the altar, purging the chamber of its malevolent presence. Exhausted but victorious, we watched as the vases shattered once more, releasing a cascade of light that dispelled the shadows. Alejandro Reyes's spirit dissipated into nothingness, his hold over the estate finally broken. The chamber fell silent, the oppressive energy lifted at last. As we exited the estate, the first light of dawn broke through the horizon, symbolizing the end of our harrowing ordeal. Michael and I felt a profound sense of relief, knowing that we had eradicated the source of the darkness that had plagued us for so long. With Alejandro Reyes defeated and the estate cleansed of its dark influence, life began to stabilize for Michael and me. The haunted vase was gone, and our home in Quezon City no longer bore the weight of supernatural turmoil. However, the emotional scars from our experiences remained, reminding us of the ordeal we had endured. Determined to move forward, we decided to honor the memories of the spirits we had freed. We organized a community event at the Shrine of Freedom in Pinaglabanan, inviting descendants of those affected by the Japanese occupation to share their stories and participate in a collective healing process. The event was both cathartic and unifying, bringing together individuals bound by shared history and loss. During the ceremony, Tomas delivered a heartfelt speech about resilience and remembrance.
Today, we stand not just to remember the past, but to honor the spirits who suffered and to ensure their stories live on,
he proclaimed. As he spoke, I felt a sense of closure, knowing that we had played a part in healing old wounds. In the weeks that followed, our relationship with the supernatural shifted from fear to respect. Michael and I became more attuned to the subtle energies around us, fostering a deeper connection with the community and our heritage. We continued collaborating with Tomas, who had become a trusted friend and mentor, guiding us in our newfound understanding of spiritual matters. One afternoon, while visiting a local market, I encountered an elderly woman named Mrs. Ramirez. She approached me with a warm smile and handed me a small, intricately carved wooden talisman.
"For protection and peace,"
she said softly.
"May it keep you safe from any lingering shadows."
Grateful for the gesture, I accepted the talisman, feeling its comforting presence. It was a tangible reminder of the support we had from our community and the importance of safeguarding our peace. However, as life settled into a peaceful rhythm, faint disturbances began to resurface, mere echoes of the past that tested our resolve. Objects occasionally moved on their own, and whispers could be heard in the stillness of the night. Yet, these occurrences were subtle and no longer terrifying, serving as reminders of the journey we had undertaken. One evening, as Michael and I sat together, the talisman resting on the table between us, he looked into my eyes and said,
"We've come so far, but I can't help but feel that something is still out there."
I nodded, understanding his unease.
"Perhaps it's just our minds playing tricks on us, trying to make sense of everything we've been through."
But deep down, we both knew that the balance we had achieved was delicate. The spirits we had freed had left an indelible mark on our lives, and the legacy of their stories continued to influence our present. As time passed, Michael and I became more involved in preserving the history and memories of those affected by the Japanese occupation. We collaborated with historians, participated in commemorative events, and even started a small foundation dedicated to supporting descendants of the victims. Our efforts were met with appreciation and gratitude, strengthening our bond with the community. One late autumn evening, while working on a new project at home, I noticed the talisman glowing faintly on the table. Intrigued, I picked it up, feeling a surge of warmth emanate from its carved surface. Suddenly, a vision enveloped me, a serene garden bathed in moonlight, where spirits moved gracefully among the flowers, their expressions peaceful and content. Realizing that the talisman was more than just a symbol of protection, I shared the experience with Michael and Tomas. Together, we concluded that the talisman was a conduit, a bridge between our world and the spiritual realm. It was a gift from the spirits we had helped, a token of their gratitude and a promise of continued protection. Encouraged by this revelation, we decided to use the talisman to assist others who might be experiencing similar supernatural disturbances. We offered our support and knowledge, helping individuals confront and resolve their own spiritual conflicts. The foundation flourished, becoming a beacon of hope and healing for many. However, our peaceful endeavors were once again threatened when reports of unexplained phenomena began to surface beyond our immediate community. Tales of haunted artifacts and restless spirits reached our ears, suggesting that the darkness we had confronted was spreading, seeking new vessels to inhabit. Determined to prevent further tragedies, Tomas introduced us to a network of spiritual healers and historians dedicated to combating malevolent forces. Together, we formed a united front, pooling our resources and knowledge to safeguard our community and beyond from the encroaching darkness. One night, as we strategized our next steps, the talisman began to vibrate intensely, emitting a bright light that filled the room. The spirits we had freed appeared before us, their presence comforting and empowering. Clara Thompson stood at the forefront, her eyes filled with gratitude and determination. "Thank you for all you've done," Clara spoke, her voice echoing with strength. "But our work is not yet complete. The darkness we defeated was but a fraction of what lies beyond. You are our guardians now. Continue to protect and remember, so that no more souls fall victim to the shadows." Inspired by her words, we embraced our roles as protectors, vowing to honor the spirit's legacy by continuing our mission. The talisman served as a constant reminder of our responsibility and the bond we shared with the supernatural realm. As we embarked on this new chapter, we faced numerous challenges and encounters with the unknown. Each victory reinforced our commitment, while each setback tested our resilience. Through it all, the support of our community and the guidance of Tomas and the spirits kept us steadfast in our purpose. One particularly harrowing encounter involved an ancient mirror rumored to trap the souls of those who gazed into it with malicious intent. With the talisman's guidance, we were able to break the mirror's curse, freeing the tormented spirits and restoring peace once more. Our journey was far from over, but with every challenge we overcame, we grew stronger and more united. The legacy of the Haunted Vase had transformed into a mission of protection and remembrance, ensuring that the stories of the past would never be forgotten and that the darkness would always be kept at bay. As the years passed, Michael and I became respected figures in our community, known not only for our resilience, but also for our unwavering dedication to honoring and protecting the spirits of the past. Our home remained a sanctuary, a place where the living and the dead coexisted in harmony, bound by the stories that defined us all. And so, our journey continued, ever vigilant, ever hopeful, guardians of the unseen, ensuring that light would always prevail over darkness, and that the memories of those we had lost would shine brightly for generations to come.